All right, what's up, sports world? What's up, guys? So, my fellow TikTokers and my fellow YouTubers, since this is going over there. So, as y'all know, today is February 18th, 2025. So, if you're a NASCAR fan, you know that this day holds significant meaning to most NASCAR fans. Maybe not the ones that are teenagers or in their 20s, but obviously the ones that were alive 25 years ago. I mean, if you're just a young kid, like 5, 10 years old, but I would say if you're around at least 10 to 13 years old back in 2001, you know what this day means. Today is the day that the sport of NASCAR changed forever. Because it's this day 25 years ago that two things greatly happened. One good, one not so good. It was on this day 25 years ago that Michael Waltrip won his first Daytona 500. But it was also on this day that we lost one of the greatest NASCAR drivers that ever lived. Scratch that. The greatest NASCAR driver that ever lived or graced a race car, stood in a race car, raced a race car. If you're a NASCAR fan, you're probably a NASCAR fan because of this man. He was trying to block for Michael Waltrip and his son, Dale Earnhardt Jr. We all sat in shock because they didn't announce nothing. And then a little while later, as you're watching Daytona 500, he was rushed to the hospital. If y'all waited about an hour after the race, hour after the race ended, somewhere around there, it was announced on ESPN, the post show. The president at the time, I believe, was Todd Helton, was the president of NASCAR, came out and said, after the crash in turn 4 at Daytona 500, we have lost Dale Earnhardt. 25 years ago on this day, we lost Dale Earnhardt. Or 24 years ago today, we lost Dale Earnhardt. Sorry about that, guys. Now, for me personally, I got into NASCAR because of Dale Earnhardt. Whether you knew him as Dale Earnhardt, most of us diehard NASCAR fans didn't call him by his name. We called him the Man in Black. We called him Mr. Earnhardt. But most commonly known, we called him the Intimidator. Because that's what he did. He intimidated you and then moved you out of the way to win a race. He's the reason I got into NASCAR. Later on in the years when Jeff Gordon came along, I was a Jeff Gordon fan. But we all saw, shortly after he passed, all the tributes. Every time someone would win a race, the rest of the year, they would hold up the 3 fingers out their window as such, like this. Or they'd get a little flag and carry it around the track. Jeff Gordon, after he won his first race after he died, went around the track back. Well, didn't drive backwards, but he turned around his car around, went the opposite way you're supposed to go with the number 3 flag. And when we got back to Daytona that same year and Dale Earnhardt Jr. got his first win, I think it was actually his first career win in the Sprint Cup Series or Winston Cup Series, whatever it was called at the time. That was the most emotional moment. I don't think if you were a NASCAR fan that there wasn't a NASCAR fan in the world that wasn't crying. Just like when Dale died, there wasn't a NASCAR fan that didn't cry. I will say that NASCAR has forever changed. The safety rules, everything has changed because of his death. I think every time any of us watch a race or we go to a race, we think of that man. So I just wanted to jump on here and say quick to the Earnhardt family, not that you're going to see this, but to Earnhardt fans, Earnhardt friends and family, if you see this, and Dale Earnhardt is still not forgotten about on this day. To his family and friends, we still think about him to this day. He was the GOAT. He was the one true legend of NASCAR. So Dale Earnhardt, I just want to say you were greatly missed, but never forgotten, always remembered. Thank you for giving us the sport we have now. I don't think the sport would be as big as it is today, or as great as it is today, without you in it. I don't think NASCAR exists without you. I don't think NASCAR still exists without you, Dale Earnhardt. So simply, I say thank you on this day. And guys, I want to do something. I know it's been a long, long time ago, but I'm going to bow my head here and take just a moment to remember on this day, 24 years ago when we lost Dale Earnhardt, a moment of silence. Well, guys, that's going to be it. I just wanted to hop on here and talk about Dale Earnhardt a little bit. You know, obviously we all know his. I don't have to get into his stats and his wins and all that. Y'all know that if you're a NASCAR fan. If you're not, look it up. Thank you for everything, Dale. Thank you for everything. You are the GOAT. When you talk about the GOAT, guys, when you go to NASCAR and you talk about the GOAT, he has to be at the top of the list. There is no other. He is at the top of the list. Dale Earnhardt was a GOAT, a true legend, an icon, a pioneer of our sport, of NASCAR racing. So thank you, Dale Earnhardt. And if you haven't done yet, guys, just take a minute to remember him today. It's been 24 years. That's a long time. Seems like just yesterday. I think we all remember where we were the day it happened. I was at a friend's house watching the NASCAR race. After it got over, I thought how cool it was Michael Waltrip won. Darrell up there crying for his Darrell Waltrip up there crying for his brother. Nobody knowing how Michael was in about a month. I remember being out on the porch, out on my buddy's deck, and I went out to smoke a cigarette, and we were grilling out and stuff, even though it was cold, obviously. But and they're like, they just announced it, and I went back in and seen the re-highlight of it, them announcing it. I was like, what? And they rewound it, or didn't rewound it, but they re-showed it. The ESPN re-showed it, but I was like, oh my God, no way. This sucks. And that's when I said right there, NASCAR will never be the same again. But rest easy, Dale Earnhardt. We miss you. We love you. Until we all meet again. Keep racing up in that big racetrack up in the sky, buddy. Rest easy, Dale Earnhardt. Forever the legend, forever the GOAT, forever the icon.